Hey guys, this is Kate Kennedy, and I'm excited to bring you another tutorial video for the Sweet Stamp Shop. This week I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take this awesome stamp set called Triangle Style, and I'm going to use it to create a stencil for a card. That'll make more sense as I go along in the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it at 5.5 inches, and that's going to do two things for me. It's going to create my card, actual folded card, and it's also going to create two card fronts. And I'm going to cut that paper in half at 4.25 inches. So I have two card fronts to work with. I'm only going to need one, but it's good to have an extra just in case. So I'm going to take the part that I left together and I'm going to score it at 4.5 inches. And this is going to create a side folding card for us, a standard A2 size card. And this is a technique that you can use with so many different stamps. I would recommend using like geometric shapes because they're just easier to cut out. But once you see it, you're going to realize that you can use it for a whole lot of things. I've used this technique on layouts, on all kinds of things, and it just gives you another way to use your stamps in kind of an unexpected way. It's really cool, and I hope y'all like it. So now that I have my card base scored, I can start working on the card front. So I'm going to take the various different triangle stamps. You can see here there's a ton of different sizes, and then there's some solid, some outline, and some that have a pattern inside. Now at this point in the process, it doesn't really matter what the inside of the stamp looks like because you're only stamping it to trace the outline. So what I'm doing is I'm taking all my stamps and I'm arranging them on the card in a pattern that I would like to see, and I'm being mindful to keep a space to put a greeting or a sentiment. So you're just going to want to arrange those, and I'm trying to get them pretty straight, but I'm going to put them on to my Fisker stamp press, and that has lines on it, so that's going to allow me to fiddle with them a little bit and get them more straight, which is what I have done at this point. And then I'm just going to take some ink. It doesn't matter really what ink you use, what color, or anything like that. And I'm going to stamp that down, making sure to get those edges stamped really well so I can outline the stamp. So I can cut them out. Now I'm just taking a couple of the individual triangles and adding more because I obviously only had one of them and wasn't able to repeat the pattern on the stamp block or on the stamp press. So this is just a way to kind of fill in or add where I want to see fit. And you can, like I said, you can mix and match stamp sets to get a different kind of pattern. This is just the one that I chose to use this time, and I find that triangles are very easy to cut out. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see how to do this. I'm just going to take a craft knife. This is the tonic craft knife, and I'm going to trace along the outer edge of the stamped image. And I kind of do a couple at a time with the lines going in the same direction because I have to then rotate my paper to do it the other way. This is just the way that I do it. You could also use a pair of scissors by starting on the inside of the edge and working out. There's a bunch of different ways to cut out things. Just do whichever way you're most comfortable with, or whichever way works for you. So I'm just going to do a couple of here to show you. And I like to flip it over because the back side, this side I'm showing you right now, is actually going to be the card front because there's ink on the other side. So you can kind of be mindful of that too when you're doing your image. It's going to be reverse. It's going to be the opposite of the way that you see it on the front side. It just makes it look a little bit cleaner, and you don't have to worry about being so precise when you're cutting these out. Now, if you didn't want it to be the reverse, you could totally just be super careful cutting these out where you don't leave any of the ink on the paper. So once you've cut all of those out, you have a template that looks something like this. And here's one that I've already done. So you have a nice template. See, that side still has some ink on it, so I'm going to use the reverse side. And what we're going to eventually do is use some pop dots to put this onto the actual card base. So I need to know where those triangles are. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to trace all of those triangles onto the actual card base. And this is going to give us a guideline for where to put different things. You can use pattern paper, you can use Copic markers, you can use washi tape. Here's just a couple of pattern papers I've already put down. And here's a little pile of scraps that I have, and this is what I'm going to be pulling from to fill in those triangles. You can also use the actual stamps, which I'm also going to do. So having that pencil guideline really helps, because since they're so small and some of them are really close together, you kind of need to know where you're going with things. So right now I'm going to get started in filling in those various triangles. And I'm going to, like I said, use a mixture of the stamps and some pattern paper. And I just keep kind of replacing that template or stencil that I created to make sure that I like where the colors are going and that type of thing. So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit as I go through this process. And the great thing about this is that you don't have to be super precise. You don't have to cut out triangles because it's not going to show. And you'll also see that I'll use a triangle stamp that's larger than the triangle I'm actually stamping, because I like the pattern on it, and no one will ever be the wiser, because like I said, this card front is actually not going to show. Only that topper part will show. And so you can start to see there where this is going to go and what it's going to end up looking like. It's a great way to use up scraps also. And I'm just making sure that I have all of the black ink off of my stamps before I start stamping it in color. So for instance, here I'm using a stamp that's larger than the triangle I'm stamping over, but I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of leeway, a little bit of, in case the template didn't fit exactly perfectly over the top, but it turns out that it does. But you know, just to be on the safe side. I'm just using some ink that coordinates with the papers that I've chosen. And so here I'm going to use this really cute polka dot triangle. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. And I'm going to use it in a couple of different places in a couple of different colors. That is Hero Art's Butter Bar ink. And then I'm just erasing the pencil line just to make sure that it doesn't show through. And I'm also using Hero Arts they're the mid-tone shadow inks in Bubblegum. And these papers are all just various different scraps from 12 by 12 or 6 by 6 papers that I have a little box that I keep them all in. And I find them very useful for card making, especially for things like this. So I'm just going to have to nip that little edge off so that it doesn't show through on that other triangle. And again, now I've kind of, can't figure out exactly how that goes there, huh? I'm just trying to see the placement and kind of see where I need to add more black and white or more yellow or pink or red, just to give a nice balance and composition to the card. This is probably my favorite pink ink. It's the Bubblegum by Hero Arts because it has kind of a blue undertone and it looks really nice with colors. How cute is that polka dot stamp? See, I stamped it there over a smaller triangle because I just really wanted it to have some polka dots. It's just so cute. This is a super versatile stamp set. It's one of the smaller stamp sets that Sweet Stamp Shop offers, and it's just a really great kind of staple to have. I love to use these triangles when I make a set of like personalized note cards, and I use them on either side of the letter. It looks really cute. You can also make awesome backgrounds with this. That's another option. Instead of doing this technique, you could have just arranged your stamps and then just actually stamped the background, and that would have been really cute also. This is just something kind of fun if you have a little extra time. So now I'm just finishing up those last few triangles, and then I'm going to take some pretty thick dimensional adhesive. Now, in hindsight, I would have stamped the sentiment first, because I had to end up doctoring it up a little bit, because when I went to go stamp the sentiment onto the card, it was a little bit uneven. So what I did was I just stamped it off on some other white paper and cut it into banners, and you'll see in the end how that turned out. So I'm going to take this stamp set from Monogram It and use the thank you stamp. And like I said, I ended up having to change this up a little bit, but I love the way that it turned out. So just be mindful to stamp your greeting before you put your card front on with the pop dots, because that makes it a little bit uneven. So that's pretty much finishes up the card. I did add a couple of enamel dots also that you'll see in the end. Thanks guys so much for watching, and make sure to check out the Sweet Stamp Shop. Bye.